Hey everybody, it's Lee here with another Cripsy update. It's January the 16th, and this basically relates to yesterday's big news release on the Cripsy.com blog. So finally, Paul Vernon and the team at Cripsy, I think it mostly is just down to one person, which is Paul Vernon. He's basically the main person behind everything there. I think the others are just kind of all have very small roles and are not very involved. But he released a statement on the actual official Cripsy blog explaining everything that's been going on in these past few months. And it's not good. I'll break the most important bits down for you. If you want to read the actual blog in full with all the various details, you just go to blog.cripsy.com and that's got the various details on there. But the short version of it is... on the 29th of July 2014, the exchange was hacked using a vulnerability or a Trojan horse that was built into the wallet of a Lucky 7 coin. Originally the coin was developed, but then someone else took it over by the name of Jack. That's all the information that was there. And they rewrit the wallet and then asked the Cripsy exchange to update it. And then from that point, the Cripsy exchange was infected or had this vulnerability. So it's basically a Trojan horse. And on the 29th of the 7th, 2014, this vulnerability was used to scrape, or should I say take, a hell of a lot of coins from the Cripsy cold wallets. In total, according to Cripsy, 13,000 Bitcoin was taken, and also 300,000 Litecoin. On the two numbers based around the time of the attack, that's probably the equivalent of about 7 million US dollars. So a pretty significant and damning amount of coins. A hell of a lot of money basically has been stolen. At that point, Paul Vernon and the team at Cripsy decided that they was going to keep it quiet. They thought that the exchange was doing well enough so that they could recoup people's losses, repay the losses from the profits and stuff that they was making at the time. The exchange was doing well, and they thought they could just keep it quiet, and as the withdrawals come in, they could cover those withdrawals. However, later on, a CoinFire article basically pointed the finger at Cripsy for a whole range of different activities and reasons. And that finger pointing basically caused a run on the bank at Cripsy. What happened was people started to lose confidence in Cripsy, and people wanted to pull their money out of the exchange, essentially causing a run on the bank. People lost confidence in it. And that kind of then fueled the fire. So you get, what happens is you get one person tries to withdraw their money, it's either slow or delayed, then someone else hears about that, they try to withdraw their money, and then that's slow and delayed, and then then a third person and a fourth person, and it sort of just escalates, and then that's what you get is what's called a run on the bank. Everyone trying to pull out their money all at once, and at that point the game is up. I'm quite surprised they actually managed to sort of keep it going for quite so long before this final truth come out. Like I say, the original theft of the actual bitcoins was done on the 29th of the 7th, the 29th of July last year, and then basically Cripsy has been kind of going on fumes ever since that particular time. So where we are going forward. Oh, the other thing I wanted to point out as well, it said that in the actual blog post, they was alerted to a reduction in our safe, cold wallet. But the thing is, if I just want to make this point, if you've actually got a proper cold wallet, that the whole point of a cold wallet is that it's kind of almost like a paper wallet. It shouldn't be accessible in a digital form. That's the point of a cold wallet. So what you do is you basically create a paper wallet with a passphrase or a series of words and numbers, whatever you're going to use, and you keep that in a physical form, but completely separate to your digital activities. That is the whole point of a cold wallet. So if your exchange gets hacked or your computer gets a virus or it's infected with malware or Trojan horse or anything like that, they can take the money out of the hot wallets. You would lose the money on the exchange, but your cold wallet would still be safe because there is no digital access to that particular file, or it's like a safety deposit box kind of thing. So they messed that up here. You shouldn't basically be able to steal from a cold wallet. Same thing as that happened at Mt. Gox is the same. Not obviously the exact same situation, but a cold wallet it shouldn't be a digital wallet. Basically, that's the point that I'm trying to get at. If you want to keep your coins safe, a cold wallet, just look up how to do it properly, but it shouldn't be a digital wallet. That's the point I'm getting at. So continuing on, there is some good and bad news. One of the kind of the good points potentially is that of the 10,000 or 10,000 of the actual Bitcoin that was stolen, let me just double check on what these numbers are. It could be, there is some complication. Okay, so it's between 10 and 13,000 of the actual Bitcoins that were stolen. The wallet that they was moved to has not had any transactions since, so that money is basically just sitting there. Paul Vernon has put a bounty or a reward on the return of the actual Bitcoins of 1,000 Bitcoins, so that's quite a lot of money as well. So that's quite a substantial reward. But yeah, just going back to that point, those other Bitcoins, yeah, they're just sitting there. No one's accessed them and no one's used them for any transactions. So there is a possibility that someone may return them, but in all honesty, I think if someone's going to go through the effort to actually steal these things, I think they're just waiting for an appropriate time where they can kind of sneak that money away, using various tumblers or something like that. I'm not too sure what they're going to do with them, but essentially that money at the moment is kind of dirty money. But I'll be very surprised if it was actually returned to the exchange or something. We shall see. So Cripsy, from that point onwards, that's basically the main sort of details, and it says that all trades and withdrawals on the exchange are currently suspended indefinitely. So if you have any money on the exchange, pending deposits, or if you're doing any sort of transactions on there, all of that money is basically frozen. You can't do anything. You can log into your account, but you can't do any transactions or withdrawals at all. So for the time being, any money that's on Cripsy, you can basically consider lost. You should have withdrawn it out, like I told you to. Not to be big-headed, but obviously a lot of people are going to be in a dire sort of situation, and they would have lost a lot of funds. So hopefully the losses were not too bad for you. Hopefully in that sort of this last week or 2 weeks, you managed to get your funds out, using the same methods that I was using, a Feathercoin, Vertcoin, and trying to get out what money you can before it went completely pear-shaped. I lost a little bit of money in this too, but I got the great deal of my money out of there over that period of time, so hopefully you guys did as well. From that point, Paul Vernon says that there's basically 3 options, although they have updated it later with some additional options, but these are the options that they're basically saying. They shut down the website and file for bankruptcy, and then let the individual users claim for or file bankruptcy claims from that point onwards, and try and get out what we can through like a liquidation process. The option 2 is someone else comes in to purchase and run Cripsy whilst making good on the requested withdrawals. I don't really sort of see that happening. And the third one is if somehow they're able to reacquire the stolen funds, they would allow the withdrawal request to process. But that seems unlikely to me as well. I think this basically is a closed case. I think they're just going to go bankrupt, and then maybe you can put file a claim and try and do something with it. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if those options changed since yesterday. I thought I read another option, or maybe I'm just getting a little confused. So there was an update from that post that was yesterday. So this one was posted just this morning, actually, or late yesterday evening. And it just says that they are, because of the actual phishing emails attempt at the same time, those guys must be gutted as well, because they went all it's quite laughable really, but these guys that run the email phishing attempt, and they must have got access to loads of people's Cripsy accounts, but then like I said in the previous video, that must have been quite amusing. Well, it's amusing for me, it obviously wouldn't be amusing for them, but the fact that they hacked, or gained access to all of these people's accounts via phishing, and then they couldn't withdraw the actual funds, I think that is just kind of hilarious. They went through all that work to sort of screw people over, and then in the end they couldn't even get any money out of the exchange. They basically robbed a bankrupt exchange, and I think that is quite laughable. That gives me a little chuckle. So continuing on, these were just some other options that were mentioned with regards to the wrapping up of Cripsy. I'm not really seeing any particular ones in there that sort of stand out, and it's like it's going to solve all the problems, but I'll just read them out to you quickly. So an option is to spread the loss to all users in the system and then allow trades to continue. Well, that might be a good idea. So if you all took the losses across everyone, then everyone will basically take a haircut, would all have a loss between us. But what would happen from that point onwards is, yes, everyone will take a loss, and then trades could continue, but all confidence in the exchange would be lost, or has been lost already. So as soon as trades are allowed to continue, everyone will just withdraw their money, and that'll be the end of the exchange. So that doesn't really make any difference. You might as well just let people withdraw, or do like a haircut for everyone, and then just let them withdraw whatever's left as it is. So number 5 is to restrict withdrawals on short balance coins, and then allowing withdrawals on a first come first served basis. I don't understand exactly what that means. It says restrict withdrawals on short balance coins. I'm not sure exactly how they're wording that. I mean, what is it you can withdraw out? What you've got less any of the Bitcoin and Litecoin that was lost? I think that's what it means, but I'm not too sure. So option number 6 is place user balances, or place existing user balances of Bitcoin and Litecoin into a frozen state, and then release the funds as they become available from fees collected. But that's not such a bad idea, but once again it comes back to that confidence and trading. I think soon, now that this information is out, the Cripsy exchange is done. No one, why would anyone want to trade on a bankrupted exchange? It just doesn't inspire any confidence. So any future trading, it isn't going to work like that. As soon as people get access to their funds in one way or the other, there isn't going to be any trading as such. People only trade so they can pull their money out. It's still a case of a run on the bank. No one's going to just forgive and forget, and then we'll just carry on as normal. It's too big of a loss. I know Polonix, they managed to do it, but they had much smaller losses, and I think they lost about 10% of their cold wallet storage. So that's not, in this case with Cripsy, they've basically lost everything in terms of their big wallets. So all the Bitcoin and Litecoin is it's just it's too substantial amount just to sort of brush over. You can't continue on after that. And number 7 is to find an investor or group that wish to invest in the operations or provide a loan. So I can't really see that happening as either. Cripsy had a good thing going, and they just basically screwed it up. I can't really see any investors coming in and making good on $7 million worth of stuff, and then maybe they'll recoup their money back over the next 10 years or something, assuming they can bring some confidence back to Cripsy and carry on going. But I can't really see that happening. I think what most likely will happen is Cripsy will just declare bankruptcy. Everyone will have the option to put in a individual claim, and you might get some of the funds back based on what is left within the actual exchange at the moment. We don't know how much money, there's obviously lots of altcoins within Cripsy. We don't know what the current balances are of all of those coins. So there is a possibility that it might not be as... It depends exactly how they do it. If they basically combined everyone's alt currencies and then even them out, balance, you know, across every single sort of individual member. It depends exactly how they would do it, but it's kind of complicated. But the way I see it is whatever funds that you've got currently in Cripsy, you can expect to lose probably a great deal of those. It's difficult to give like an exact number, but unless you've got, you know, really substantial amounts in there, then I don't think you're ever going to get that back, unfortunately. So yeah, that's all of it for this video. If there is any future Cripsy updates, I'll be sure to post them as they sort of come in, but that's basically it for the time being. So yeah, if you've got any money in Cripsy, keep an eye on what's going on there, and you might be able to pull some out over time using various methods, but I think most likely it will be a bankruptcy claim, and then you'll have to file a suit to get any of your funds back. So that's all for this video, and trade safely. If you do have any money on your other exchanges, you probably might want to consider keeping them localized. You know, pull that money out, keep it in your wallet, and then just trade it or put it on the exchange as you need it. But as soon as that trade is completed, I know it's a pain in the backside, but then pull it back to your local wallet, and then that will just keep us safe for these kind of things for the future. So it's another learning experience. I'm not too sure how many of these we'll have to go through before, you know, something significant changes. It's just too easy to get lured back into these easy operations until it hits the fan. Okay, so that's all for this one. Talk again soon.